Thank you, Jean-Baptiste. I'll continue a little bit about ambitions. So to reach our climate targets, we also need ambitious governments. That's why we are lucky today to have with us Amund Vik. He is the State Secretary at the Norwegian Ministry of Petroleum and Energy and have been invited to tell us about the Norwegian government's work and on ambitions for CCS. Please welcome Amund Vik.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting me here to speak today. I know we've had very good cooperation with Bellona in the past on forwarding CCS. I've really looked forward to coming here today. So thank you to Bellona for the important work you've done over the years and continue to do to promote CCS as an important tool to combat climate change. Fighting climate change and promoting climate neutral growth and industry is a defining task which will require huge efforts. We all know that widespread carbon capture and storage at the lowest possible cost will be necessary to achieve the goals we have committed to in the Paris Agreement. And as you know, for some industries, especially cement production and waste incineration, CCS is the only way to remove all greenhouse gas emissions. Norway's full-scale CCS project Longship is already paving the way for CCS as a tool to decarbonize these hard-to-abate sectors. So CCS is not a new and untested technology in Norway. Over the course of several decades and through various changes in government, Norway has supported technological development, testing and pilot projects while seeking to promote CCS as an important tool on the international stage. CCS is a priority for this government. It creates jobs and it cuts emissions. We're now building a value chain for CCS in Norway with a goal of at least 2 full-scale capture facilities and a storage facility in the North Sea. In the longer term, we also want to facilitate CCS on the major waste incineration plants in Norway and to facilitate the utilization of CO2 in industrial processes. In that regard, it was agreed in a budget settlement for 2022 to allocate an additional 10 million kroners to the Climate Research Program, an important source of funding for research, demonstration, and technology development for CCS. Climate will use the allocated funds to evaluate carbon capture at the waste incineration plants in Trondheim, Bergen, Stavanger, Kristiansand, Tromsø, and Fredrikstad. Overall, the current government wants to build on the great work that has been carried out by industry, academia, civil society, and politically through a broad parliamentary support for CCS and to take our ambitions on CCS even further. So the full-scale project Longship is the focal point for our CCS ambitions. It's the first full-scale CCS project to integrate a complete chain of individual CO2 providers, a flexible transport solution, and an open access storage facility. It includes 2 capture projects at Norcem's cement plant in Brevik and at Fortum Oslo Varme's waste incineration plant in Oslo, provided that the latter secures sufficient funding. It also includes the transport and storage project operated by Northern Lights, a partnership between Equinor, Shell, and Total Energies. The Norwegian state has signed state aid agreements with the various actors in the Longship project. Although the state is footing a large part of the bill, contributions from the industry actors are vital. For Northern Lights, it's essential to store CO2 from more than just Norcem and Fortum Oslo Varme if they're going to ensure profitability. Thus, the state aid agreement provides an incentive to make more efficient use of the storage solution and to further develop it. Recent developments are encouraging. Northern Lights is experiencing increased interest from European capture projects who are in need of a storage solution. They are in detailed contract negotiations with industry project that represents 8 to 10 million tons of CO2 that can be captured. In December, we also approved a second well for Northern Lights. It will be drilled in 2022. This well will ensure the capacity of 1.5 million tons CO2 per year in phase 1. It will also provide the foundation for a capacity of 5 million tons CO2 per year in phase 2. The well is proof of the increasing interest in Northern Lights is experiencing in their storage solution. Based on specific requests from industry, the government announced last September more acreage for CO2 storage applications. The ministry has received applications for 5 companies in connection with the announcement of these 2 areas on the Norwegian continental shelf. this is a testament to the significant industrial interest from CCS today. Safe storage of CO2 is vital to the success of CCS. The legal requirements in place for monitoring CO2 storage go beyond what is required for the established oil and gas industry. So Norway has more than 25 years of experience with safe storage of CO2 under the seabed. We know how to store CO2 safely and permanently. Overall, the Longship project has gone from memos, white papers, and Teams meetings to real construction at the work sites. And it's moving forward as planned. The CO2 capture project at Norcem cement plant is 17% complete, and the Northern Lights storage project is 27% complete as of November 2021. And as mentioned earlier, we already now see that the Longship is creating new momentum for CCS in Norway and in Europe. From the second half of 2024, Longship will start capturing and permanently storing CO2. So in our view, there are no technical barriers to implementing CCS. There are, however, still economic, commercial, and regulatory barriers. So the purpose of Longship is to contribute to removing those barriers through knowledge and technological development. Norway has extensive CCS ambitions, but in order to realize those, Norway is investing in a development and financing of CCS through different channels, such as the Technology Center Mongstad, TCM, Climate Program, and Enova. Scale-up will greatly reduce the unit cost of CCS. These first CCS projects will therefore lead to cost reductions and pave the way for commercially attractive CCS projects later on. Yet, we know that the costs of CCS are still high. CCS projects still need public funding to succeed, both from national governments and from the EU, for example, through funding sources such as the EU Innovation Fund. We are, of course, disappointed that Fortum Oslo Varme was not selected for funding under the first EU Innovation Fund calls for large-scale projects. Yet, 4 out of the 7 projects that were awarded funding were CCS projects. We see this as a clear signal regarding the importance of CCS in the green transition. All 4 projects are potential users of the Norwegian CO2 storage capacity. And as you know, Northern Lights is being built with excess capacity to enable storage of CO2 volumes from other European capture projects. The increased interest for CCS also creates a need for upscaling the transport, storage, and infrastructure in Europe beyond Longship and other planned European projects. So we need enhanced European regulation that facilitate efficient cross-border transportation and storage of CO2. All modes of transport should be equally recognized in the relevant EU regulations. Robust, transparent, and consistent monitoring and reporting guidelines should be established. So I would like to highlight the importance of maintaining flexibility in the forms of transportation to be utilized as part of national and cross-border CO2 transport infrastructure. Sharing infrastructure for CO2 transport and storage will save time. It will save money in the transition towards the climate-neutral industrial sector for Europe. To end, I wish to reiterate that Longship is moving forward as planned. We are experiencing increased interest for our storage solution, as well as great international eagerness to learn from our full-scale development, full-scale demonstration project. CCS is increasingly being recognized as an important policy tool to combat climate change, both at the EU level and in individual countries. However, the technology is not yet commercially viable. So we need both governments, the EU, the industry, academia, civil society, and organizations like Bellona to continue working on and investing in CCS. Importantly, we need more commercial players on the field and taking an active role in bringing this technology forward in order for CCS to truly become an efficient climate tool. So I hope to see this development in the months and years to come, and I wish to just reiterate that this government now has large ambitions on developing CCS further. So thank you for your attention, and good luck with your conference.
Thank you very much, Mr. State Secretary.